Hello all, this is my first video talking about the Garmin Reactor 40 system. I thought I would go through some of the setups, really not too much of the setups, but the components and what I know about how this all works. I did a self-install, had a very knowledgeable retailer that drew me up a map and explained to me how all the networking and how all the wiring takes place. So I'm going to go through all the components. This here is a 73 unit. This was brand new, so I have two fish finders on this vessel. This is the 93 up front. This here is the unit that basically you install kind of in the center of the boat, dead center of the boat, and that measures obviously the direction of the boat so it knows what way to turn. And I have not gone through the calibration yet. Have not had this boat on the water since I've installed this, but I have set it all up, tested it, did all the testing I could possibly do with it on the trailer, and it appears to be working pretty well. I was going to grab the remote here real quick to show you. This is the wireless remote. You've seen other videos, I'm sure, of this on YouTube. And this is the other component. This is where everything hooks up. The electric system. This is not a hydraulic system. So this is their newer electric system. And I'll get down on the motor and kind of show you what I did there. There's a pass-through that you have to install on the boat, which I did like so, to get everything hooked up. That hooks up directly to this, and everything's pretty much color-coded. You can see there's an orange plug. What do we got here? Purple plug. The red's obviously power. I can't recall. It's been like 6 months since I put this in, so I'm not quite sure what the purple is. That could be going to the kicker motor. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This system is all networked. The networks I found work better for this particular layout that I installed them. I'll move back, kind of show you a little bit of the boat. Kind of dead center of the boat. You have to power the network, and all they are, they're T's that you hook everything into. And you have to power that. And the T's, once, if you have 4 components, obviously you need 4 T's. You also need an extra T for power. And then there's end caps. Very important that you put the end caps where you're not adding another T. You got to do that on each end. And that kind of stops the signal from wanting to keep going, I guess. But they said it was pretty important. So I had a few issues. I couldn't get my remote to pair. So what I ended up doing is calling Garmin and say, hey, what's going on? They said, well, do you have Active Captain on your phone? I said, yes, I do. If you're not familiar with that, it's an app that you can download, and you can actually hook up your chart plotters or recorders, whatever you want to call them, to your phone and update all your software, your maps, and everything. It's pretty good. Obviously, you need good cell phone service for that. There's another way of doing it. You can go online and you can insert an SD card here, a mini SD card, download the software on the computer, and then stick it in there. It'll automatically recognize and upgrade your components. What's nice about doing it on the phone, it's really cool, is when I looked at Active Captain, what it'll do is it'll tell you what devices you have registered with them. The Reactor 40 was not on there. I didn't register it already. So then what I did is I went through the procedure on my phone. The next thing you know, the Reactor 40 showed up. I don't have my phone with me, but I could show you that now the Reactor 40, after I went through the software update, it recognized it, registered it, and now it's part of this whole system. And it updated everything. It took a little while, about 2.5 hours. That could be because of my reception on my phone, whatever the case may be, but there was quite a few upgrades that it needed to go through. So be patient if you do that. It looks like it's not doing anything, but it actually is. Now, when you turn on your fish finders and you have everything hooked up and it's hooked up correctly, your fish finders will come up with this device, this icon. It'll come up automatically. You don't have to download anything. It knows it's there. And that's the beauty of Garmin. I think their software is so user-friendly. You don't have to go through excruciating pain to get things to work. If you hit this, that's the reactor 40, basically. And what that does is, for some reason, it's not showing it. But here you can do your throttle. I believe it's because it's in standby, and it is. But if it was on, then I could actually increase the motor speed and the direction that I want the boat to go to. Now, to get that out of standby, the only way I know how, which I'm going to probably try to do some more research on, is I've got to go turn the remote on. And this is where I had a problem. The remote, once you paired it, would not stay paired. It says press any key to continue. We're going to see if it works, and it works. So what that means is, I don't know why that's not focusing, but this is a new camera, and there it is. It's in standby. So I'm going to take it off of standby, and then when you do that, here's the Run Autopilot Wizard pops up. I'm going to say later. Now, what is that? Well, what that is you need to get this thing on the water, and you need to go through the procedures. You go through circles, you go through you go on YouTube, you can tell you, or you can read the manual, but it tells you how it's going to calibrate basically your PZO or your directional device, so it knows where north, south, east, west is, and that's that little device there. And I'm sure it does some calibrating on the fish finders as well. And what you hear in the background is this thing clicking. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to keep that heading, which is what it says here. Now it's 31 degrees. So that's what's happening. If I go to the remote and then I push an arrow, and we will do that, and then you can see it's turning this thing. So now I'm making a right-hand turn. I hit it a couple more to stop it, and well, it should stop. Now it's going to go back. That's pretty much how that works. This is the throttle, which I'm going to start doing that now. And I'm going to zoom up on that. I'm hitting the up arrow, and you can see the throttle is moving slightly. See, it's pulling it. So I'm going to bring that down. So that's how you adjust your throttle with your remote. Now, I mentioned that you can't see this stuff on screen, but now you can. So if you go back over here, and I'm going to zoom out, here's your throttle indicator. So you can actually adjust your throttle on your trolling motor, your kicker motor, with your fish finders. It's pretty cool. So the only thing I had to do that was kind of odd is they give you these brackets, and there's a device in there, and it's on the other side of the motor that you got to find a place to slide it. It's just sitting in there. There's a wire that goes to the spark plug that measures the RPM of the motor. So there's two ways you can do it. This thing has cruise control. Say you set it at 1.5 or 2 miles an hour, and I'm not quite sure how that works. It'll either monitor the RPM of the motor or the GPS reading on how fast you're going. I believe GPS would be the best way to go. So anyway, that's how that all works. So I'm going to zoom up on this bracket. This is a 9.9 Honda. It's about 3 years old. I couldn't find a bracket in the kit, and it comes with several different brackets that would actually work. So I had to take two of them and TIG weld them together. They're stainless, and then kind of make my own bracket, because you cannot adjust the cable length. What you get is what you get. So if the cable's too long, in this case it was too long, there was no way for me to shorten it without cutting off the stop and putting my own stop on, which I didn't want to do. There's the stop. It's inside of that clevis. So anyway, that's kind of this whole system, as far as I know, at this point in time, without getting it on the water, how this all works. And I can say this, that everything went together extremely well. There's your motor, your linear actuator for the motor. Everything fit perfect. Obviously, you disconnect this from your big motor. I used to steer this with my big motor or the steering wheel, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. There's a lot of options on this remote. Programming the steps of the motor, how fast it reacts, and all that fun stuff. All of that has to be done on the water. You can see right now that it's trying to hold this heading, and it actually says that on the remote as well as the fish finder. So that's pretty much it. And this is the other cool thing. I'm running one transducer, and you can go to each of these, go back to home, and you can pick anything you want. Basically, if you want fish finder or sonar on this one, you can go to nav on that one. You can go to the autopilot on that one. So they run independently, which is pretty cool. And I like it because I don't have to have two transducers as well. That makes it really nice. So networking, there's a big plus. Maybe a little bit of a headache. If you decide to do this yourself, there is a little bit of a learning curve, but the one good thing about it is Garmin has excellent service. I would highly recommend buying it from a retailer that knows this equipment. I'm located in Monterey, California. The retailer that I dealt with was in Santa Cruz, and this guy sets up many boats, large boats, 40, 50, 60 foot vessels to pleasure craft like this. This happens to be a North River 24 foot, and we use this basically for lake fishing. It's never been in the ocean. I don't plan on putting it in the ocean. So I hope that helps. I'm not one of these subscribers, thumbs up or whatever. I just wanted to put this on there because I did go through some agonizing pain trying to figure this out. Not bad. Read the instructions and hop on the phone with Garmin. They're very useful. All right, have a great day. Good luck.